All right, guys, welcome in. Happy 2026. This is the RotoBaller PGA betting show. My name is Ian, here with Matt Miller, two of our staff writers here at RotoBaller. Going to be going live every single Monday on the Twitter and the YouTube feeds to talk a little PGA Tour, maybe a little just world golf in general. I know Matt's an authority. He's been an authority on LIV for the past couple of years, so we won't hesitate to bring you everything. But this week, just one kind of show in town here on the PGA Tour, the American Express. Of course, not the optimal event, I would say, to start things off, but maybe a little low pressure to kind of knock some of the rust off. It's been a little while since we hopped on a pod together, so going to be pretty informal tonight. We're just going to talk a little bit about the course, some of the players that we like in the outright market as markets open up on Monday afternoon. But yeah, Matt, how you doing today, man? Excited to have this year and talk a little golf with you every Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to hop back on with you. We've had a couple of good shows together in the past, so looking forward to this weekly thing this year. Like you said, it's not the sexiest tournament to start, but we got a better field than normal, so kind of looking forward to getting back into it.
Yeah, 12 of the top 25 in attendance in Palm Springs this week, so including number one, Scotty Scheffler. We'll get to all the MX insights here in a bit. Let's talk a little bit about the first event of the year. I'm personally coming in very hot, sarcastic. From the first event, I think I had made 5 outright bets and 1 made the cut. So I'm certainly on a bit of a heater here in 2026 to start. I know you had a bit better luck with Berger and Connors, I believe we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Berger and Connors. So it kind of gave me a little bit of hope. Connors going into Sunday, I thought, he has, a low round. He's got a chance because he was only 4 back, and it was only Davis Riley up there. And then the next group of guys was -10. So I'm like, he's right in the mix. And he just did absolutely nothing on Sunday. It was kind of a typical, I did it to myself, with the Corey Connors experience where he hit the ball really well and just didn't make any putts. And I kind of just remembered why I'd never bet him. And then Daniel Berger was the sort of opposite, where I didn't think he had much of a shot going into Sunday, and he kind of made a run on Sunday and got me a little bit excited for a while. Threw in a bogey, probably 15. 14 or so, 15, yeah, and that kind of was the end of that.
Yeah, I honestly
have a little sweat,
Yeah, I mean, heck, I was watching with absolutely no investment, so it's at least nice to know your money's not completely dead on Sunday at like 1 o'clock, for in my case like Friday at noon. But yeah, I'll be honest, I breathed a little bit of a sigh of relief on Connors not being in this field when I was kind of going through my weekly power rankings prep, because yeah, he hit the ball so dang well at Sony, so he'll probably coax me in at some point, maybe in Florida, to join you on the train of misery. But yeah, Corey is over almost 8 strokes gained on approach, 3rd in the field in ball striking. Yeah, typical Corey Connors. Then he loses like over 4.5 shots on and around the greens. So T24, good to know we can still project some things that are still evergreen on the PGA Tour in 2026. Just maybe a small piece on Goddard, the winner, of course, by 2, stormed with back-to-back, actually a round of 64 on Sunday to overcome Davis Riley, Harry Hall. I know our boy Spencer had a Harry Hall ticket, so I was kind of pulling for that. But yeah, Goddard, man, a guy that I didn't really consider on my outright card just because like the iron play has been pretty inconsistent. His last start, the Hero, didn't look very good, but hey, I guess when you finish top 6 and driving around the green playing putting, it doesn't really matter how you hit your irons.
Yeah, he's been impressive. I didn't really consider him much either, but he's definitely a guy that I think we're going to have to start paying a little bit more attention to. He's starting to build a little bit of a resume here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the fact that he was able to win on a place like Sony, which I don't think really suits the suitabilities as well. Like, you think of Sony as just like the Russell Henley course, the Siwoo Kim kind of course, the positional Bermuda grass guy, the Kisners, the Chris Kirks of the world. Those are the guys that tend to play well at Sony. And then you get a guy like Goddard who's, coming out with 185, 190 mile an hour ball speeds and, showing out at a venue that I think traditionally has rewarded more of the plotters. So if he can win at a place like Sony, I think it does a lot for his future prospects going forward in terms of where he can win. So congrats to those guys. I know like 55, 60-1 tickets were out there. So props to anyone that was on him this week or last week. He was definitely not on my radar. But all right, yeah, moving swiftly on. I've got nothing to talk about. We've done our Colin therapy session off air, so I don't have to quite relive those memories of him being like 3 over through 8 on Thursday morning. But yeah, anything else off the Sony, man? You have any insights?
No, I think it was good to get back into it. Good event. I mean, it was cool to watch with a little bit of wind and conditions out there, making it a little bit tougher early on in the tournament. Yeah, good way to kick back into the season, and kind of looking forward to this week.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, here we are, American Express, the first leg of the West Coast swing. Of course, that takes us here from Palm Springs. We go to San Diego next week for Torrey Pines, Scottsdale, Pebble Beach, and then Riviera. So a lot of marquee events on the schedule coming up. This is a little bit of the hors d'oeuvre of the 5-course meal that is the main course, of the West Coast swing. But yeah, PGA West, Palm Springs, and the Coachella Valley, desert golf. We've seen, scores of 23, 25, 27, 29, 26 under win here over the last 5 years. 3-course rotation. It is kind of the last of the Pro-Ams. Pebble used to also share this kind of 3-course rotation with a 3-day Pro-Am, of course, until they figured out, let's actually make one of the most iconic venues in American golf a watchable golf tournament. So this will be the last one that we get, thank God. Of course, 3 courses, Pete Dye Stadium course being the most kind of the most recognizable, the most famous. Pete Dye's ode to TPC Sawgrass here on the West Coast. The only of the 3 courses with Shot Tracker, unfortunately, this week as well. So little one final ode to the fall swing as we have to refresh our PGA Tour apps, just look for scores instead of just tracking every shot for us. But yeah, 54-hole cut this week, 1 round apiece for the first 3 days on the Stadium, La Quinta, and the Nicklaus course before the top 56 and ties, top 65 and ties go back to Stadium for one final shootout on Sunday to determine the winner. All 3 play as short par 72s, less than 7,200 yards, each ranked inside the top 10 in terms of easiest scoring averages on tour. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I would say, yeah, short courses, a lot of wedges. Of the 30 par 4s, only 8 measure over 450 yards and none measure over 475. So a pretty big dichotomy from what we'll see in a week or so in Torrey Pines. But when you kind of just look at the American Express, look at this 3-course rotation from a grand, like a 30,000-foot view, Matt, what do you kind of see? What stats you tend to weigh?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think first of all, you touched on it. It's a tough tracking week for us. 2 of the 3 don't have the shot track, and it's just kind of long rounds with the Pro-Am setup. So yeah, it's not the most fun, Thursday, Friday, Saturday to try to track. But we do have a stronger field than normal, which makes it, a little bit more exciting to follow and dive into. I think you kind of nailed it with, a lot of wedges, and, John Rahm infamously called it a, putting contest. I'm not weighing off the tee too much this week. We touched on this before the show. It's just not something that is really going to matter too much. Guys who are inaccurate are not really penalized by missing the fairway. There are some hazards, but they don't, you can easily avoid them. They don't really come into play too much off the tee. Looking at, guys who have had success, they're not necessarily the straightest drivers, and you kind of look at the winners. It's all different types too. You don't have to be a bomber to win around here. It's a short course. So it's kind of mostly sort of, a lot of wedges, a lot of putting, and you mentioned it too. I mean, you're going to have to get to at least probably minus 23 to win. Yeah. So a lot of birdies. I mean, you're looking at birdie or better stats and stuff like that. It's not one of those courses where you're going to have to scramble around or, look at anything like that. I'm looking for birdie makers.
No, for sure. And I think that's why we've seen, one of the bigger storylines in the betting world this week is the fact that we've seen the likes of Nick Dunlap win in 2024 at 400-1, Hudson Swafford won here in 2022 at 190-1, Andrew Landry, I think 400-1, Adam Long 500-1. That's just in the last 7 years. So we've seen some really, really crazy long shots hit. The American Express is probably the most prolific week, really all season long, we get for long shots. And I know Matt writes a weekly long shot article every single week for RotoBaller. So he'll have maybe his most comprehensive outlook to date on kind of the players that he's interested in. He's got a lot to pick from. So that's going to be, I think that's kind of the reason I feel like why a lot of the longer shots and maybe the lesser players have tend to play well here, just because when you talk about a place like Torrey Pines that requires, you'd hit it 310, 320 off the tee, land 4 irons on the really firm rock hard greens. It's not a skill set that's very easily found on the PGA Tour, but when these guys have pretty wide landing areas off the tee, have a lot of wedges in the greens and 15 foot for birdie, a lot of guys are capable of, catching a putter and getting to 25, 26 under.
Absolutely. Now, question for you, kind of to bounce off at, the introduction here before we dive through the, odds list. We've talked about a lot of long shots have won on this course, and it's kind of one of those weeks where you're eager to take shots at guys down the board because they have proven to not only have success but win here. This is one of the stronger fields that we've seen at this event, in maybe ever, but at least in quite a long time. How do you weigh that with kind of the long shot, rolling the dice on a long shot this week, because now they're going to have to beat a lot more top guys than they normally would?
No, the point's well founded. I mean, I think it starts at the very top with Scotty Scheffler. It's like, before you click that guy at 250 to 1, you have to kind of look your mind's eye, like, what's the lowest Scotty Scheffler's going to be on the leaderboard on Sunday, and like, do I really trust this dude to like, get me across the line when Scheffler's got 5 feet for birdie on every hole? So I think your point's well founded. There's a lot, it's a lot deeper of a field this week, and I think that does play well for the long shots because we are getting guys like, legit players at 100, 200, 250 to 1, even deeper than that we might get as the show goes on. But yeah, it's not your typical Amex where you scroll like 20 names down and all of a sudden you're like, who is this guy at 85 to 1? There's a lot of guys like, just looking at my screen here. I mean, Sammy Valamaki's 165 to 1. He won the RSM class. He had one of the best ball swings of anybody. Max Grayson, a top 30 to 40 player on tour who's come close in Birdie Fest before. Wyndham Clark, major champion. Matt McCarty, a guy that a lot of people like coming into the year. A lot of these kind of Corn Ferry European tour guys that are coming onto the scene, and I wrote extensively about in my rookie article last week. I think make good cases as well. So. It's not your typical like field of the MX where, I scroll down and don't see a lot of names that pique a lot of interest. If you maybe started 100 to 1, I could probably build a pretty compelling card.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I mean, it's not your typical week where you're going to hammer a bunch of guys to the top of the board. At least in my opinion, at this event, it seems like a lot more guys are live. One more question for you too. I know there's been a lot of talk this week about kind of the trend, if you will, that, I think it's 9 of the last 10 winners had played one of the 2 Hawaii events leading into this. Now, obviously this year we didn't have the Century, and, we had talked about it before as well. With the Century, you're getting, 40 or so of the top players in the world. So it kind of skews that stat. But are you weighing in kind of playing leading up to this? Do you want a guy who has played more recently? Do you think there's something to that versus guys who haven't played since maybe the fall? Are they still live, or are you looking for kind of a more recent, lead up coming in?
I mean, number one, I kind of hope the stat holds true, because that would mean Scheffler doesn't win. So I've got a better chance of hitting, because I don't think I'm going to end up on the plus 275s I see in market on the world number one. I think you look at Chris Goddard last week, right? Like, I think, yes, he played the Hero Challenge just a month before, but I think if you were to look at his profile heading into the Sony, I think a lot of people would have used that December start to kind of discredit his chances. He played pretty poorly at the Hero Challenge. He finished almost dead last. He was one of the worst in the field on approach in around the greens. So I don't think there's enough compelling evidence to suggest that like playing the Sony or playing Kapalua in the past has like really bolstered these guys' chances at I think a pretty different golf course or pretty different setup to what we get at either of those 2 places. And I think you kind of mentioned it with the Kapalua take, as it's one of those like what's the take they always give at like Augusta National, or like there's the crossover between like Augusta National and some of these other golf courses like Augusta National and Kapalua or Augusta National and Deer Run. They tend to play, like the best players tend to play the best at both, like all those golf courses. Like, the best players are playing at Augusta National every single year. And so they're probably the best players in a given John Deere field or a given field at Kapalua. So
Yeah, there used to be another one too, where it was like around the time of like I think like the match play or something,
Yeah,
where everyone played in that. So once they got rid of that event, everyone was kind of still going off the same trend, but it
yeah,
wasn't really valid. So yeah, I'm with you. Once you kind of, it makes sense that all the guys who had won last year have a better chance to win this week
yeah,
than guys who didn't. So yeah, to me, maybe if it's like I'm torn between two guys, it might be something to consider, just a little bit of reps coming in, but it's not something that I'm going to kind of base my card around.
yeah, for sure. It doesn't hurt. Also, pour one out for the match play. I mean,
Yeah,
what a
yeah. I miss it.
what a travesty that got taken off the schedule. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the actual players themselves. I think we talked enough about Amex and the courses. What we're looking at. I'm going to have my weekly scouting the routing piece coming out tomorrow for premium subscribers. I know our guy Gator just did a kind of comprehensive a full tournament breakdown for everything from TV coverage to course specs to everything you need. So I know he does that for free every single Monday for all of our readers. So make sure you check him out at Gator Sports. Betting. Let's get into the MX field. Like we said, 12 of the top 25 in attendance this week, and it does start rather unfortunately with Scotty Scheffler. Plus 275, I see, is the best number. Actually, you can get a 3-1 if you're really interested in Scotty Scheffler. Of course, I did the power rankings this morning. I released that at about 8 a.m. on Monday morning. He was number one to the surprise of absolutely nobody. Of course, the best wedge player on the PGA Tour, the best ball striker on the PGA Tour, becoming sadly one of the better putters on the PGA Tour. So is this a week? Because obviously the discourse around Scotty is we know he's going to probably pick off at least 4 or 5 wins this year. Are you a guy that has historically partaken in the without Scotty markets, or do you tend to maybe just lean to the variance of the golf course like this and just take the inflated numbers and roll the dice that he doesn't get hot?
Yeah, I haven't historically played the without Scotty market. I'm not sure how well that's worked out. It's usually kind of just say a prayer Thursday morning that it's not his week. But yeah, he's starting to get more and more, annoying for guys who, are betting each week and rather than just sitting back and enjoying his greatness. So that's something that maybe I'll have to start considering if he keeps, cleaning up the way he has been. But for now and historically, I haven't really dove too much into this market. I do think this is sort of a week where you could probably avoid that. We talked about just kind of the craziness that has occurred at this tournament, as is a lot more, kind of variance. So I think this is a week where we can just kind of hope to dodge him, especially off of a layoff. Hopefully we're getting a little bit of a rusty Scheffler.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I mean, I would definitely consider it at a place like Memorial, Bay Hill, where like ball striking's at a premium and his like just elite tee to green acumen can really just gain 2-3 shots a day on the average player in the field. This week, like I said, I think it's much easier for a lesser player to kind of keep up with Scheffler from a tee to green perspective. They're not going to be looking at a ton of long irons in the greens. They're not going to be looking at a ton of difficult driving holes. So I think, and in general, these green complexes around the greens are pretty easy to scramble on. Each of them feature like a scramble percentage over 64%, which the tour average sits around 57. So they're easy places to scramble. Typically, like short courses, short par fours. You're willing to kind of trust your players to keep up with Scotty in like a wedge arena versus a place like Bay Hill or Memorial, where he clearly has like an obscene edge step on the golf course from minute one.
Yeah, I'm with you. Those places are kind of the weeks where you just shake your head at him. So maybe we'll have to start diving into that more this year because he's definitely burned me quite a bit fast, as I'm sure he does everybody. But
I mean, the funny part is I do all this content and like we talk about this all year long, and then Memorial comes around, and inevitably I'm like, oh, Colin Morkell's 30-1. Let's just click that like on Monday morning. It's just dead because Scotty Scheffler shoots 6 under on Thursday. But yeah, that's our Scheffler discourse. Again, I think there are probably weeks where I'm willing to take a bit more of a stand, either like against Scotty in fading Scotty in the wet out markets, or even betting him outright. We'll kind of see what the numbers do as the year goes on. But yeah, I think we're kind of in agreement there. We're willing to take him on, and certainly not interested in the 3-1 price tag outright at the Amex. So moving on to the kind of the second tier here, we got again, the second tier probably as strong as it's been in quite a few years here at the Amex. I'm just looking on the grid for the best prices. See, Ben Griffin is kind of the second favorite consensus. He's as high as 20-1. You've got Bobby Mack, Ludwig Oberg, and Russell Henley all at 25-1. Sam Burns, Patrick Cantlay, two course horses, 28 and 30. And then you can even add Siwoo Kim to that mix at 35-1, past champion here. So I know you haven't made a bet in this range as of yet. I haven't made a bet. So we might spend a little bit of time in this range trying to figure out who we like the best. But Griffin, McIntyre, Aberg, Henley, Burns, Cantlay, Siwoo, any of those guys like really pique your interest at the current number?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Burns is interesting. He's played well here. He's obviously a good putter. It's one of those events that he definitely, kind of, I could see him winning.
Yes.
I'm not fully committed to him yet, but that's definitely a place that I'm kind of leaning early. I think Cantlay is sort of intriguing. I mean, he had a down year last year, but he's always kind of plays well here. So I don't know how much to, really lean on course history, but he seems to always kind of be near the top of the leaderboard. Maybe there's something to, he had kind of a down year and he's going to come out, strong this year. Maybe he grind a little more in the off season, but you never really know with him. And then Siwoo, I think, is a really good fit. He's, won this event before, but he hit it really well last week. He kind of just didn't putt well, but he's someone who he's, got his reps in last week. He looked really good. He played over in Australia in the winter. He played well there too. So Siwoo is definitely someone I have my eye on. I think he's a good fit this week, and I could see him winning.
Yeah, I echo a lot of the same sentiments. Siwoo was a guy that just missed on my power rankings, but as you said, past champion here. He's clearly in some phenomenal form. He was actually the only guy to beat Corey Connors in ball striking last week. I think he gained 10.62 shots on the field between his approach play and off the tee. So finished T11 despite losing 4.5 strokes putting. So if you're looking at like the classic like buy low opportunity, we're actually getting not a terrible number. Like you can get 35-1 on Siwoo. So I think the best number last week available was 25. So I'm sure like Scheffler's presence in the field plays some part in that. But yeah, I would fully endorse the Siwoo Kim thing. And then I think Cantlay's interesting because people, I think, give Cantlay a bit of a pass in 2024 because he finished T3 at the U.S. Open, but he was much worse from a statistical standpoint in 2024 than he was last year. I know he didn't really have the pop, like the major event that, maybe allowed him to garner like a lot of press or anything like that, but he jumped 40 spots in the TD Green rankings. He was 55th in 2024, jumped to 15th last year, and kind of back into that upper echelon where for the first 10 years of his career, he never was outside the top 20 in strokes gained tee to green. He had that one down year in 2024, and now he's kind of rebounded. So I certainly think he's a bit of like a like a little bit of a sleeper coming into the year because people he didn't really have an event that people can hang their hat on in 2025 to say, Cantlay is, at his peak. And now we're getting him at 30-1 at the Amex. I mean, I remember betting him at like 12-1 in 2021 when he was still kind of like, when he was considered a top 5 or 6 player in the world at that point. So, of course, I mean, his course history is phenomenal here. He's finished second in 2021, 5th last year, 9th, a couple of 9th place finishes as well since 2019. So last 6 starts, 4 finishes of 9th or better. I think his ball striking is a little bit better than maybe people are giving it credit for. And obviously he is really comfortable around these green complexes. So hopefully the putter can get hot for him. And I think he's very live to pop up again.
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of good points. And I think, too, there's like kind of just his whole reputation and the way he's viewed. It kind of almost got hurt, at least in my opinion, because him and Xander are good friends. And they got compared so much together at the point before Xander started, winning his big events, where these guys are both just really solid all-around players and they're kind of similar. And then Xander took off one way and won 2 majors. And Cantlay's kind of had this disappointing stretch, if you will, over the last couple of years. So I think that's kind of caused people to view him differently. But I could see, to your point, it's a really good number this week, and I could see him having a bounce back year this year.
Yeah, I would say I think it's actually pretty telling that the three guys we picked are the three lowest priced in the range I gave, like from Griffin to Siwoo, because I don't see this tier of players as being like having a ton of separation in between a lot of them. Like I don't see a lot of difference in Siwoo's profile versus a guy like Ben Griffin or Bob McIntyre. So if I can get the course history and a better number, I think I'm more likely to kind of go with those three rather than the former four. If you had to kind of rank Burns, Siwoo, and Cantley as of like Monday night, who are you most likely to bet? Who do you see yourself going to?
I think I've talked myself into Siwoo. I like where he's at, and then Burns and Cantlay is interesting. I would say maybe it's like a toss up. The more we're talking, I'm kind of maybe feeling Cantlay can come out and do something this week, but I don't know. I'm split 50-50 with them. I'll put Siwoo 1, and then
okay.
Those two, I'm undecided. Where are you ranking them?
I love how you went. I love how you swore off Corey Connors and then immediately are going to pivot to Siwoo the very next week.
Yeah.
For me, I would probably rank them the order they are on the odds board. I would go Burns first, then Cantley, then Siwoo. Just because I think, like above all else, I need to be able to see in my mind's eye, like a player that's able to gain enough strokes putting to keep up with the pace here. And like I think obviously Burns is the best putter on the PGA Tour. I think this course, like I know he's won twice at Innisbrook, but I think like just from like a course fit or a general ethos standpoint, I think this course makes the most sense for Burns of any on the tour. I like Burns whenever he doesn't have to be, do a lot of heavy lifting from tee to green. Like he can just he can afford to, wipe a few tee shots. He can afford to be loose with a few approach shots as long as he kind of has the ability to routinely putt inside 15 feet for birdie. Like he's a guy that can just gain 6, 7, 8 strokes putting in a given week and storm the leaderboard. So that's where I would go. I think Siwoo has a very high floor because I trust the ball striking more than maybe each of these two guys above him. When it comes to like actually winning the event and getting to 26, 27 under, I have a tougher time allowing myself to like imagine him making enough putts. So
it's fair.
It's one of the few weeks where like I would have that take because typically I'm just all about the ball strikers. Like just give me the guys that are going to hit it the closest. But I think the playing fields are much more level this week than they would be at most other stops where I think you don't have to be like an elite ball striker to like find success here from tee to green. And so if you can have that X factor on the greens, like I think Burns and Cantley can still have. I still believe Cantley can spike putting and make enough putts to win an event like this. So I would just rank them in that Burns, Cantley, Siwoo, personally.
Yeah, that's very fair. I'm probably going to get burned by Team No Putt again, but let's make it 2 in a row.
Yeah. Hey, I love, and I mean you're getting 35-1, which I think is a very fair number on Siwoo. Do you have anything on like Griffin, McIntyre, Oberg, Henley? Like, do you have any just overarching thoughts?
No, I mean they're all like. It wouldn't shock me if any of them won, but I would kind of lean more toward the 3 that we talked about in this range than those guys. I know Ben Griffin's kind of been very popular to start the year, but to your point, I think just if you're going to get a better number on the 3 that we mentioned, I just don't think there's that much that separates the two, on a course like this.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are going to get their time in the sun. But if we're just talking this week, I don't see enough reasoning in their profiles to go up the board and reach for 20-25-1 on any of them. Okay, cool, man. Let's move on to the 40-1 range, which again, the hits kind of keep coming here. You have Matt Fitzpatrick, 40-1, as you can find it. If you shop around there, Sepp Straka, defending champion, 45-1, the best you can find. Harry Hall, who was very live coming into to Sunday last week, makes a lot of sense, I think, at this desert track. 45-1. Kurt Kitayama, another ball striker for you to lose money on at 55-1. Best in market. Taylor Pendrith 55-1. Harris English 55-1. Michael Thorbjornsen 55-1, and Alex Noren 55-1. We'll stop there. Fitzpatrick, Straka, Hall, Kitayama, Pendrith, English, Thorbjornsen, Noren. I don't expect you to have thoughts on all these guys, but does anyone stand out in that kind of third tier?
Yeah, I think you touched on it. I think Harry Hall's interesting here. I think he makes a lot of sense because he is such a strong putter. Sure. He played well last week, so you kind of got a little bit of form coming in, and then the ability to kind of have a big putting week. This could be a tournament that really fits him pretty well.
I agree, and I kind of hate that I agree because like Harry Hall just feels like the ultimate stat nerd. Like he this guy rates out fourth in my model. He's 45-1, and it's just it's like this guy. Is this guy capable of we haven't seen him capable of winning like an event outside of like the ISCO. So that's kind of my main gripe with Hall. But I agree. Like from a course fit perspective, if you're gonna bet Harry Hall, like I feel like this is one of your better chances to do it as the season goes on. Obviously, he's from England, but he went to UCL or UNLV, Las Vegas kid. He's played really well at the Shriners in the past. Desert Golf has 3 top 15s there. I think he finished top 21 last year. And again, like easy scoring conditions. I don't think Harry Hall is like a prolific ball striker by any means, but he does have the X factor on the greens. Like I kind of mentioned with Cantley and Burns. Like if you're capable of gaining 6, 7, 8 strokes putting, I think you can certainly find your way into the mix this week. When he's at 45-1 and I can get Struck and Fitzpatrick at around the same price, it's like, man, it's really tough to make that click. And I mean, guys like Alex Noren, I'm very high on as well. He was not in my power rankings. I think people kind of maybe he's not underrated. If you've paid attention with what's going on in Europe over the last kind of 6 months, you know exactly what Alex Noren's been up to. He won the marquee event on the DP World Tour last year at Wentworth. He won the British Masters against a very strong field at the Belfry. 2 top 20s to end the season with the DP World Tour Championship and in Abu Dhabi, and of course lost in the playoff to Hideki. So I know, he gets the stigma here on the PGA Tour. He's going on like 9 seasons on the tour. He's never won one stateside, but he's one of 25 players ever to win 12 or more times on the DP World Tour. This is a guy that has closed the deal consistently across the ponds. And he's got the X factor with the putter. One of the better putters we have in world golf. He's gained, over 3 shots per start on approach, dating back over his last 9 starts. So I think this golf course does suit Noren quite well. And I think for where he is, in my opinion, and in the game, like I see him as a top 20 to 25 player in the world. You can get 55-1 on the field like this. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. So,
yeah, that's a good point. And I don't want to fall into the trap of becoming a Harry Hall guy. I think the event makes sense for him, but everything you said is true, and I don't want to put my stick in the ground and claim Harry Hall and start falling into that trap. You mentioned there are a lot of other better players in this range. Straka, it's like I just don't see him winning back to back. But
yeah, it feels like a tough place to defend your title.
But I mean, obviously he is a great fit. He won last year, and he's a much better player than Hall. And Fitzpatrick's interesting too because he kind of started to play a lot better toward the end of last year. He's someone that I definitely have my eye on this year, and I might put a couple futures in on him as well. Not that he's one of my guys either, but he is obviously a good player, and he's someone that kind of seems to get ignored a lot on this board. So he's somewhat interesting too.
Yeah, I that was the first sentence. He was actually number 6. Fitzpatrick was number 6 in my power rankings this week, which I guess by that logic, he should probably be a bet for me at 45-1. But the first sentence I had, I said, I can't help but feel like Fitzpatrick remains an underappreciated entity in the golfing world. Like I think he's, with his back half of 2025, he's on Data Golf. He's the 11th best golfer in the world. He just won the DP World Tour Finals last November, and a field that included Rory, Fleetwood, Ludwig, Lowry, Hatton, and then obviously all the DP World Tour wunderkinds that we were kind of coming onto the scene on the PGA Tour this year. So for me, my issue with Fitzpatrick is very actually similar to my issue with we didn't really talk about him, but McIntyre. I just think like Fitzpatrick and McIntyre, like their general ethos is so far apart from like the MX. I mean, this is a place where like it's dome golf, TrackMan, hit your number, get to 25 under. I feel like they thrive in more chaotic conditions on course, get some wind up there, get some difficult score conditions, make these players scramble a little bit, make them make these 10-foot par putts. That's where I kind of see Fitzpatrick and McIntyre really thriving, and this is like the complete antithesis of that. So that's where I kind of struggled to really see them winning But in general, if the market continues to like price Fitzpatrick alongside, like behind Siwoo Kim and alongside Sepstrock and Harry Hall, I think he's going to show some value for me at some point, just maybe not this week.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's a fair take.
Okay, so I would probably go with Alex Noren of this range. I guess you'd stick with your Harry if you had to pick.
Yeah, I'll stick with Harry. We can revisit this next week, and I might be off the Harry bandwagon for good. But
I'll give you a pass this week because I do think he can play well. If you start touting Harry Hall at Torrey Pines, we're gonna have to have an intervention.
Yeah. It's tough. I don't want to have to root for Harry Hall, but I think he is a good fit.
I'm sure he's a great guy. You know, he wears the Hogan cap, so I mean he gives us some personality on tour. I've got
someone had to do it after Bryson stopped.
Yeah, it's just he's got to prove me wrong before.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. You can't keep wearing that hat and not winning.
Yeah, hey man, ISCO championship. My guy, he beat my guy Rico Hoey at the ISCO championship. So that's gonna count for something. In 10 years, we're gonna look back on that title. Damn, he beat Pearson Coody and Rico Hoey. That's a legit win right there. All right. Moving on into the next range, we're again, dude, 60-1 on this odds board, and we've got some really, I think, compelling names here. Minwoo Lee comes in at 60-1, Davis Thompson 65, Daniel Berger 65, JT Poston 65, Ricky Fowler 66, Ryan Gerard 66. So that's 5 or 6 names here, kind of from 60 to 65-1. Minwoo, Davis, Berger, Poston, Fowler, and Gerard. I know a couple of these guys are going to be pretty popular this week, so I'd be interested to know kind of if you align with the crowd on a guy like Berger, Gerard coming off big weeks at the Sony, or maybe you want to go off board a little bit.
I like Berger this week. I have sort of historically been a Daniel Berger guy, so the fact that he's kind of playing well again is cool to see. He was good last week, and especially the way he played on Sunday kind of seemed like he got some things figured out. I don't know if he's gonna get to like a minus 25 number, but I do like Berger. I have kind of a hard time staying off of him. I liked that he played last week and he played well, and the number's good. I think that he's a really talented player. So I think if he is kind of coming back and is going to have a pretty good year, this is a good number for him. At an event like this, so I'm going to take him. But
okay. So is that a bet you've made 65-1 on Daniel Berger?
I haven't placed it yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I think that's the best in market. Actually, yeah, 65-1 is what I see. I like the fact that Berger has putted well. That was the one missing piece for him in 2025. He had some really good results, especially early in the year, and his ball striking numbers were really good. But towards like the latter half of the year, he really started to fall off with the putter, which is a bit weird for a guy like Berger, who tends to putt quite well, or at least above average for like a ball striker of his caliber. But RSM and Sony, he's gained strokes putting like substantially in both those two starts. So I think that's a really good sign because I think reliably you can count on Berger to hit fairways. You can count on Berger to be a good iron player. If the putter starts working as well, he can be a really dangerous guy going forward. And this is a nice little swing for him. Obviously, Amex, he's played pretty well in the past. He's got a 12th place and a 21st over his last 4 starts. Scottsdale, I think he finished runner-up at Scottsdale last year, and then of course we're heading into the Florida swing here in maybe a month and a half's time. So yeah, I'm with you right there. I think Berger's definitely a stock I'm looking to scoop up here in the coming weeks. And compared to like Minwoo, Thompson, Post, and Fowler, I'm not entirely sure where those guys' games are at. JT I think is a very good fit. The guy that won the Shriners on a desert golf course, short desert golf course with a lot of birdies made. Minwoo, I tend to like Minwoo on birdie, like at Birdie Fest, but just the fact that I don't think he can fully unleash his biggest weapon, which is his power off the tee. I think it's a little bit of a tougher fit for him as opposed to like a Detroit Golf Club or a Houston Open or something like that. And then Gerard would be kind of the last guy. Of course, he's probably like the in-form player in World Golf right now. Finished runner-up at Sony last week. Had a phenomenal ball striking week if I can find it. Yeah, he gained 7.76 shots ball striking, over 6 shots on approach. And, of course, to end 2025, he came runner-up at the Mauritius Open on the DP World Tour, losing to the phenom Jaden Shaper in a playoff there at 22 under in Mauritius. So I think if you like Berger, you kind of have to like Gerard because they have very similar swings and games. Like very reliable off the tee, good approach players. If the putter comes along, they can be legit dangerous entities here. But I would agree with you. I think Berger's the more proven of the two guys, and I tend to trust him a bit more.
Yeah, I agree. And Gerard is playing really well, and he's there's not a ton negative to say about him. But out of the two, I would probably lean Berger. I trust him a little bit more, but we might be having a different conversation in a couple of months if Gerard keeps this up.
For sure. And I think we're kind of recording at a bad time if you wanted to bet Gerard because I think he was 100-1. I saw earlier this morning, or he was in the triple digits for sure at a few of those shops. So it's clear that the market has corrected there, and he's now settled in to a different tier entirely from what we saw at Open. So 66-1, tough price. I think at this point we'd be in agreement there. Berger would be my guy. All right. So at this point, I mean, we've kind of talked almost player by player, kind of from the top of the board down to 70-1. I'll kind of open it up for you here, kind of from 70 to 100. Just a few kind of names I see of note. Justin Rose, who I think is still the 10th best player in the world, is 70-1 this week. My boy Rico. I won't go into any detail on that. Pearson Cootie, another highly touted youngster coming out, the Corn Ferry Tour, who played quite well in limited stretches in the PGA Tour last fall. Rasmus Højgaard, Jason Day, who came T3 here last year. Zalatoris has a good track record around PGA West. Guys like McCarthy, Wyndham Clark, Graceman, I've already mentioned as maybe higher profile players than the price tag would indicate this week. Do you kind of see a guy that sticks out to you that you'd like to bet?
I think Graceman is interesting. I don't know why I kind of tend to get drawn to him, but I think Wyndham Clark's a little bit interesting too.
Spence, big Wyndham guys.
Yeah, he's got like a little bit of not really the same type of player, but I feel like he's got this like kind of Patrick Reed thing going for him where nobody really likes him, and as a result, he just doesn't he just kind of always falls down on the odds list because he had a really incredible year, a few years ago. And I kind of just feel like even when he was in the midst of playing really well, he wasn't really getting that much respect. I mean, he won the U.S. Open, the Wells Fargo. He won AT&T to start 2024. Those are some big-time wins on big-time courses, and I kind of just feel like no one really ever considered him that good after that. And just kind of see him sitting at the price that he's at in a tournament like this. He has played this tournament. He came 18th in 2019 and 13th in 2022, so it's like decent history here. He's someone that I'm pretty interested in.
I actually agree. I got to credit Spencer for this because I think he was the first guy that really opened my eyes to this fact. But you think of Wyndham, and obviously he's won at Quail Hollow, at LACC, long, difficult golf courses. But recently, his calling card's more been on the shorter courses. You mentioned Pebble Beach already. He came T3 at the Heritage. He's played well at the Players Championship, more positional golf course, top 10 of the Travelers. So if you look at his proximity splits, he's actually a much better wedge player than a long iron player or mid iron player. And so if you trust him to get off the tee around here, because the driving accuracy is a bit of a problem, so I could definitely see him spraying a few around the various lakes here at PGA West. But the approach play, I trust his wedge game, and of course he can definitely catch a hot enough putter to contend here. So actually, he was a name I certainly looked at. 90, 100-1, I think is a really really solid bet for Guy Wyndham's pedigree. Graceman, I mean Graceman led the field in approach here last year as well. So kind of strange because that is the one kind of deficiency. Long term, he's not the best wedge player, but obviously he found something here last year. So if you can put +5 strokes gain approach over 2 rounds at the stadium in the bank, I would certainly think that 100-1 is going to hold quite a bit of value. Let's see. And then I would say my guy would be Jason Day. 90-1 is the best I see on J Day. I think the days of him competing at the Bay Hills and Torrey Pines are long gone. But
yeah, I think maybe Pebble, but coming up. But this is kind of one of the tournaments that he could potentially, of course, that he could win at. So to your point,
yeah. I mean, he was number 10 in my power rankings this week. He was kind of the last guy to make it. a little bit because I was, I had a little nostalgia baiting at the very top there. He was my favorite player when I first kind of got into golf in the 2010s. But I mean, inside like 100 yards, like when it comes down to like what we have deemed to be important here, like he's in the 96th percentile on tour, proximity to the hole from inside 100 yards. He's 12th in this field over his last 50 rounds on the greens. Good par 5 scorer, reliable driver, even if he doesn't have the same length we were used to seeing from Jason Day. So yeah, 100 to 1. He finished T3 here last year, actually led the field in tee to green at the MX over those kind of 2 days at stadium. So yeah, I think as a Jason Day fan, you're kind of running out of places to really like be super bullish on him, but I think this is a golf course that he can compete with the very best. So I'm definitely going to look very long and hard at that 90 to 1 currently in market.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And I like the Jason Day, rebrand he has going on with the Malbon, and he's wearing the crazy outfits out there. It's working for him. So I definitely I can get behind Day, especially at this number. I'd like to see him, kind of get a win this year. He had a really, nice start to last year. I thought he was going to win one last year.
Yeah.
But I could see him, popping this week.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Yeah, the rest of the guys, like the Ricos of the world. I mean, geez, I know he was the first round leader here like a couple years ago, but I think he went from first round leader to miscut if I recall correctly. He shot 63 and then he missed every putt on the next 2 days and missed the cut. So yeah, I don't think this is a particularly strong Rico course, even though he is a SoCal kid. Did grow up not too far from this golf course, but not a good enough putter in my numbers to really warrant consideration. Yeah, that's all I've really got. McCarthy, do you have any interest in McCarthy? I know he was pretty popular last week. He popped for a bit of that tournament, but I think we'd be remiss to not discuss like the best putter over the last like 5 years on tour.
Yeah, I'm not going to take him, but it makes sense here. But I'm not going to get there this week with him.
Yeah. The problem with McCarthy is like it kind of has to be the putter and only the putter. Like I just don't really see the ceiling for Denny to like gain more than like 2 or 3 strokes ball striking this week. So like it's one of those where the putter more or less keeps him afloat rather than like propels him to a win. But he did come T6 here in 2022, a year where he absolutely dominated on and around the greens. So the upside, I think you can feasibly make an upside case, but I'm with you. I think I prefer Wyndham for sure. I think I like Jason Day, like I said. And those are probably the 2 guys. Maybe like Nick Taylor. I see 75, 80 to 1 on Taylor, who, I mean, I think if you would have got offered that price after Thursday at Sony, I think most of us would have taken a shot there. I mean, a prolific winner, won in the desert before at Scottsdale. I think maybe being a little bit disrespected based on his track record over the last few years.
Yeah, I agree. He's better than people give him credit for. I'm probably stupidly not going to bet him again this week, but you're right. I mean, he's definitely better than kind of the number indicates on the odds list. And a guy that I'm not going to take this week, but I feel like I have to kind of touch on is I'm curious to see what Zalatoris does coming back.
Yeah,
we'll see if he can stay healthy this year. It'd be cool to see him, back kind of contending for tournaments again. I don't think this is the week for him, but I am excited to see him play again.
You would think this is like the least Zalatoris course of all time, seeing that like you can't win this tournament without gaining like 5 strokes putting. But 4 starts here, 6, 12, 34, 36. That's actually pretty strong for Will. Like you said, I don't think he's actually going to win, but it'll be a nice litmus test if we can see some positive signs. He's like historically shown some like life early season. Like I remember a couple years back, he played really well here and then went to Riviera and was in contention there. Had a really good week. So I think the West Coast is I mean, he's a California kid, even though he was kind of raised in the Dallas area. But yeah, the West Coast has historically been pretty good for him. So hopefully, yeah, we can see some signs of life out of Willie Z. So we can all post our 200 to 1 U.S. Open futures when he goes out and shoots 63 on Thursday this week. That's gonna be
yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah. At this point, I think it's pretty open season, man. Whatever you want to talk about, kind of from 100 to 1 on down. I mean, there's a lot of names I like, so I'll throw out like Sami Valimaki, a guy that won the RSM Classic, had one of the better fall swings of the season or on tour a few months ago. PGA Tour winner, 165-1. I think he really thrives in these kind of easier setups where his putter and his approach play can really make a difference. I'll throw in Haotong Li, who was the best iron player on the DP World Tour last year. He's got some winning upside, 175-1. And Johnny Kiefer, a guy that a lot of people are high on, top points earner on the Korn Ferry Tour last season. Showed some real approach chops, some real ball striking chops at the Sony last week, even though he finished T61. He was top 10 in total ball striking for the week. Actually, sixth, it looks like. Yeah, gained over 5 shots between his approach play and his driving over the course of the week. So if you look at kind of Kiefer's long-term stats on the Korn Ferry Tour, he made a lot of hay like on and around the greens. That was a big kind of cornerstone of his game. So the fact that he was able to go to a full field in the Sony and produce that kind of ball striking, I think it gives me a lot of confidence for him going forward. So I think he's a little undervalued here. It's 175-1. Maybe to join a guy like Michael Brennan to come on PGA Tour and make an immediate impact.
Yeah, I think those are all intriguing. I like a guy, Matt McCarty, I took earlier today. He was at 125. I thought that was more than a fair number. He started off last week pretty good and then kind of fell apart Friday afternoon. But I still like that he, had a tournament under his belt. And this kind of seems like an event that he can play well at. He's a strong putter. If that pops for him this week, I definitely think that he's live. He's proven that he can win before on tour. He's a nice young player. I like him. So I'm going to take him this week. And another guy that's interesting, I want to get your take on, maybe Michael Brennan. What do you think? I mean, he kind of comes onto the scene. He already has a win under his belt. Is he just going to, is that a one-off type thing for you? Or do you think this guy is the real deal and it's just going to come out and kind of start contending at events like this? Because that was a similar type, he won at, low score under par and, he gained over 5 strokes putting that week when he won. He won at minus 22. So that's kind of one of those events we got to make a lot of birdies. You think that this is, another event that he could pop up at, or you think he won that week and we probably won't see him contend for a little bit?
I personally prefer Kiefer if we're going to go like young, kind of up and coming kids from the lower leagues. He did. I mean, his Utah Championship was phenomenal. I had a Rico Hoey ticket that week, as per usual. So I watched a lot of Michael Brennan, and he was really impressive on that Sunday in winning position. Since then, it's not been great. I mean, 59th, 18th, 51st missed cut over his next 4 starts. Really didn't play well at all at the Sony Open last week, which I don't necessarily expect to be a great fit for him. Again, Sony's more of a positional test, and Brennan's kind of a power player. So I didn't really expect much from him last week, but I think Kiefer's showing a few more signs for me personally than a guy like Brennan. I think they're about the same price in the hour market, 175, 200-1. So if I had to pick between the two of them, that would be my guy. I mean, Brennan, just looking at the stats from Sony last week, if I can pull them up. Let's see. Great podcasting. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, lost over 3 shots in approach and 2.6 on the greens. So yeah, if he can recover from that, I mean, if he wins 2 of his first 5 starts, then more power to him. I'll reassess my evaluation of him. But as of now, I don't necessarily rate him like crazy. I still think Kiefer is like a better prospect in my eyes than Brennan, just going forward.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Anyone else down the list that you have your eye on or that stuck out to you?
I mean, it's hard for me not to look at Aldrich Potgieter, 200-1.
Yeah,
I know he his driving actually leaves a lot to be desired, but I mean, he does have that like go out there and make a million birdies kind of profile to him. I mean, he won the Rocket Classic at 23 under, I believe, 22 under. Finished second, lost in the playoff at Mexico at, again, 20 under. Again, this is kind of the Minwoo League case where his biggest weapon is maybe a little bit mitigated at a golf course like this. But I'm more excited to see him like priced this low in general than I am like excited to bet him this week. Because if we can get like, a really depressed price at a golf course that I think suits him better, like a more distance biased golf course, like even Torrey Pines next week,
Yeah.
I think I'll be really interested in Pock Eater going forward. But yeah, outside of that, I would say, who did I see earlier? I mean, is Luke Clanton just done? Have we just given up on Luke Clanton 300 to 1?
That's what's crazy. I mean, I haven't, but I mean, he hasn't played particularly well since. I mean, when he first came on and started playing PGA Tour events, I mean, he was like he contended a lot, and he looked like he
Yeah.
was a real deal. And then, kind of once he officially turned pro last year, and even in college, he won. I think he won like 3 events in a row, maybe even, or at least 3 in like a 1 or 2 month stretch there at Florida State, but then he turned pro, and it just kind of wasn't what I had expected or not what we had been accustomed to seeing out of him. I don't think he's done, but it definitely looks like he's not really in form right now, which is unfortunate. I do like him, but and at that number, I wouldn't blame anyone for taking him.
I wouldn't either. The problem is he's got, I mean, his best finish in his 15 tour starts is T29 at the Sanderson.
Yeah.
The problem is what happened to his driver, man. Like when he was an AM, like playing PGA Tour starts, he was like, you can make an argument he was the best driver of the golf ball on tour, or at least one of them. And since then, he's had like spells of good driving, but it's been kind of middling for the most part. So I don't really know what's going on with the ball striking. The putting's been awful. So not a lot of like statistical breadcrumbs to fall back on. It's just more or less.
Yeah, more like a talent.
But, yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't fault anyone, but I think I need to see a little something from him before I dive back in. The other one that's kind of funny is I'm probably not going to take him, but I did take Billy Horschel last week, and now he's like double the number.
What price?
What's that?
What's his price?
I'm seeing him right now on FanDuel at 150.
Okay,
which is kind of nuts. I mean, he didn't really do anything last week that would make me want to take him this week. But it is, kind of a big number for a higher profile guy. Yeah, he was pretty bad all around last week. So
haven't even finished the season though. Finished 11th at Utah, then 15th at Heroes. Not a great finish, but yeah, I mean, the problem I have with Billy is like I would have agreed with you last week at the Sony because I think the Sony's more like his ethos. But he falls for me in like that Fitzpatrick McIntyre tier where it's like I want Billy when like he's got to make 10-foot par putts, not when he's got to get to 25 under. Personally, so
yeah, I agree. I think he's someone that I would probably maybe if he starts showing a little something and you could still get him at high numbers. Maybe like the Florida swing is that tends to be a spot that he's a little bit more comfortable. But we'll see. It is a pretty big number. I was kind of high on him last week, and he just didn't really do much at all.
I think, it's tough as well for last week because there was so much like variance for the weather. If you got caught in that course in the wrong time, I mean, Russell Henley, who was the tournament favorite and number 1 in everyone's model, shot 3 over on Friday. So you get caught in the wrong side of the draw or just a bad few hours on course, and you can really kind of tank your week. So it's tough for me to like take a ton from Sony. So I am willing to kind of forgive a bad performance, but yeah, just conceptually, I don't really see the MX as being like a Horschel spot. Griot rates out really well for me. I bet Griot last week to muted success. He had a pretty good Thursday, and then he was one of the guys that got just blown away on Friday. But historically, really, really good. Historically, obviously, really good iron player, good position driver. Has actually been a pretty damn good putter over the last 50 rounds. Ranked 17th for me in this field from inside that key like 5 to 15 foot range is what I'm looking at a lot this week. Again, I don't know if he's going to make enough putts to win, but I just found it strange that he was like legit a top 10 player for me, 175 to 1. I remember flashback 2 or 3 years, I bet Tom Kim here at like 20 to 1 and he's 300 to 1, I believe now. 350 to 1 is the best I see on Tom Kim, which again, this is the Tom Kim type of course. If he brings his game, I think he can legit contend here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually took him last week. I was kind of thinking that maybe he would be like he came off a really bad year and maybe he was going to come and bounce back. He was kind of just not great last week, but I'm with you. I mean, he was not that long ago. Everyone loved him, and he was kind of going off at like you said, 20 to 1. Now it's just he's an afterthought. So I wouldn't.
I think that's my favorite bet, to be honest with you. Like I'm looking at his profile right now. It's not great. I mean, he did finish T11 at the Sanderson. Just last year he was T7 at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Like the top results are few and far between, but he does show a bit of iron upside. He's actually putted quite well over his last kind of 6 or 8 starts. He's always been pretty reliable off the tee. Maybe less so now than at his peak. But man, I can't get it. I mean, he's already finished T3 here, 350 to 1. I mean, I'll put down $10 on that.
Yeah, no, it's a big number. There's some crazy number. I mean, I'm certainly not going to take him, but it's funny seeing Tony Finau all the way down there.
I was going to bring up
Jordan's newest signing, and
Lord.
we're not going to even get to watch him this year. He's so far down on the odds list.
I
I don't know what happened to him. And even a guy that's, I mean, I'm not going to take him because his game is clearly lost, but I remember a few years ago, I mean, Cam Davis was right in the mix to win this thing. He's a player who I kind of liked a lot, and he's all the way down there this week. He hasn't really shown anything that would make me, kind of want to take him. But it's crazy to see him that far down the list, especially at an event that he, had a chance to win.
Yeah, this is a really dangerous week, man. I keep scrolling down and I keep seeing like some of my old favorites. Adam Svensson, 500 to 1. He actually played quite well at the Sony last week. Hit the ball, gained in all 3 tee to green categories. He's finished top 20 here in the past. Again, positional driver. Like, he's won the RSM. I don't know. I mean, the cases aren't going to be bulletproof this far down the odds board, but he's a guy that I look at. Cam Davis, like you said, I mean, I was looking at him as well, 600 to 1. It's kind of crazy. Nakajima is another guy who, I mean, like, former number 1 AM, like, got his PGA Tour card on the DP World Tour last year and just 1 full year at that level. Again, he's a very – I kind of talked about this in my rookie rankings heading into 2026, but Nakajima is a guy that I like a lot when we're getting, like, outrageous outright numbers or, like, outrageous, like, outlier numbers because he tends to pop, like, kind of seemingly at random. He'll have a stretch where he misses, like, 4 cuts in a row and then to finish, like, solo 4th of the British Masters. He had 3 runner-ups last season on the DP World Tour. He's a really good putter over the long term. Of course, has that amateur pedigree, one of the most prestigious amateurs careers of all time. So it's maybe. I think the strategy I might use this week is leave a little bit of my money on the side, have a list of these long shots, and kind of see who might pop early on, or who I might kind of feel is catching a bit of a pulse or has a little bit of a pulse this week. Because I don't want to like sit here and release a card that has like 6 guys at 300 to 1, even though it wouldn't be like the biggest financial investment. It's just like, I feel like your money's better spent than just like taking all the shots down the board. But I think it's worthwhile, like just monitoring, like star them on your app or, just keep an eye on the odds board as the tournament goes on. Cause I think a lot of these guys could get lost in the mix if they're playing well.
Yeah. Or even if they're starting on the, stadium course and there's some other numbers that pop on some other courses, but they're hitting it pretty well. You're going to have the stats for that course as well. Could be something to monitor.
I like that. Also, Austin Eckler at 300 to 1. I'm gonna toss that out there. 2-time
winner. I like him. I took him last week as well. I thought that he was going to play a lot better, and he actually started off pretty good. I think Thursday morning he was like 3 under through 9. I was feeling all right about it, and then he bogeyed like 3 holes in a row. But I think he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, I don't see Eckroat as being that inherently different than like some of these kind of ball strikers down the board. Like a Kevin Yu or an Austin Eckroat. Like I feel like they're pretty comparable players, to be honest with you. I think Kevin Yu's getting the bump because he's played. I think he finished like T3 here back when Dunlop won. But I mean, Eckroat's super reliable off the tee. He's a really good iron player. Actually hit the ball pretty well at Sony last week, like you said. Just got kind of blown away in the Friday gust. So, all right, man. Well, we're at this point, I'm kind of rambling. So let's kind of do a little bit of a recap. I know you've made your one bet is, if I'm not mistaken, who'd you bet?
McCarty.
Yeah. What did you get on McCarty?
125 I had.
25? Okay.
Morning. Yeah, I felt that was fair. I took it.
You can still get 120 is the best I see. So it's still out there, albeit 5 points less, but I think still worthwhile take there. And it sounds like you're pretty interested in Berger, 60, 65 to 1. Sounds like a click you're pretty interested in. And
Yeah,
then
Burger I'm interested in. Siwoo I'm interested in. Um, and I think maybe I'm starting to like Wyndham more that we talked about it.
Mhm.
So I think so Siwoo, Burger, Wyndham, McCarty, and then I think we'll have to talk and decide what we want to do about kind of some of those other guys. Maybe I might get on Jason Day with you if you're definitely taking him. Harry Hall still in
Yep.
consideration. I think I talked about him enough today. I might have to do it. So
Yeah, you can't come on here. We can't come here and talk about Hair Hole win and then not be on him. So that's a
and,
caveat.
where are you landing so far? Where do you think are your kind of definites?
Yeah, I think Day at 90 is definitely a click for me. I think I'm going to take the shot on Kiefer, and I like the McCarty case. I think it's well founded. I think he's a battleground guy. Shout out the Corn Ferry Tour, battleground promotion, 3 wins last year. Already won at a Birdie Fest, like you said, on the PGA. I think this course sets up pretty well for him. So I think that's a pretty good price, 121 on him. So yeah, Day, Berger, McCarty. I'll take the shot on Kiefer, and then probably like one of Cantley or Burns is probably where I'm gonna end up. But yeah, it's only Monday. I'm gonna kind of see where numbers end up falling if I can get maybe we're already seeing 30-1, 35-1 on, or sorry, 28, 30-1 on Cantley and Burns. We'll see if that number drifts at all. But yeah, definitely one of those. But it's not gonna be like the biggest exposure week. I would say like next week at Torrey, I'm gonna be probably investing a bit more money. This is more like have like 4 or 5 names from 30 to 150-1 and kind of let it ride. I'm not looking to play a full kind of allotment of my budget like I would at a Signature Van or Torrey Pines or something like that.
That seems more than fair, and hopefully next week we'll be back with a Victory Monday.
Cool, man. Yeah, looking forward to it. Again, a little rusty this week. This is a pretty short notice kind of endeavor here for us. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope we gave you at least some insights on the AMX and the betting board. But Matt, I know you're writing the long shot article. Where can they find you on Twitter? What kind of content can we look forward to from you going forward here in the new year?
Yeah, you can find me at MattyMellis85 on Twitter. I will have my long shot article. That'll be out tomorrow. I'll detail a few guys. Like you said, this week might be kind of more of a advantageous week to read that. Given some of the winners that we've had at this event in the past, some of those guys might be a little bit more live than other weeks. And I'll still be putting some live content up and out there as well throughout the year. If anyone's interested in kind of following any of that or looking at some, kind of tournament information on that. So, make sure to follow me and you kind of get all that stuff throughout the year.
Cool, man. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that long shot article. You can find me at @flag_hunting on Twitter. I do the weekly power rankings every Monday morning, Sunday night, Monday morning. And then I have my kind of course preview coming out for premium subscribers every Tuesday. So we'll hopefully join you every Monday night as the PGA Tour season goes along. And yeah, make sure you come in here, ask some questions in chat. We're more than happy to make this as interactive as possible this year. So you guys have a great week at Amex. We will see you in a week's time.